And we're back. Sorry about that. Thanks for waiting. So yeah, what I will currently doing is we're going through to get our legendary cloak. Because we have to go through our do like Kraken. I'm alternating between Dead Man's
Like
Fingers spiced.
The control chamber should be on the third
Dead
floor.
Man's Fingers. That stuff. Yes. Thing is, though, the reason I won't buy Dead Man's Fingers is very simple. And the reason that I won't buy it is because I will drink all of it. No, it's not Cortana. It's, do you know you get, like, little notifications? I always call it Cortana because it pops up in the corner where Cortana used to be.
Here we are. I'll contact the Chamber of Heart.
Thanks, Magni. It's like my notifications.
Please confirm elimination of hostile entities.
We took care of them, but not before Nazoth gave the Forge a
Understood.
beating.
Access power terminal.
I feel like, well, Tom, I feel like that is a, yeah, please do send me a picture of that. I feel like that's a very personal experience to you. Oh, mate. Man after my own heart with that rum. And it's, that is some quality rum, sir. Basically, when I get paid next, and my Kraken is all gone, which it will be, probably in the next 4 days. Let's be honest, it'll probably be gone by the end of this fucking weekend. And then what I'm going to do is, I need to stock up on ales. You see, I realised that, in obviously you're a Sheffield, well, if you, I think you moved away, I can't remember. Anyway, Peddler's Corner in Sheffield. They are currently, obviously because of COVID, we're all stuck inside. So, at the moment, basically, they have Peddler's Corners on Deliveroo, which is awesome because I love Peddlers. So they are actually one of the places so that ale doesn't go off because they've obviously stocked up. Their Freedom IPA, you can buy by the 2-pint bottle, like 2-pint milk carton, basically. One of these things, and you can just buy it. And so I bought some of the Freedom IPA, and I'm drinking the last of it today. Quality stuff, and I love it. I was going to buy some more of the other ales, but obviously money is money, and other shit needs paying for, like stuff for my kids.
Unable to access primary power conduits. Direct circuit to Chamber of Heart required. Interface Heart of Azeroth with main console.
Interface Heart of Azeroth with the main console. Okay.
I do not have a target.
In other words, point the big shiny necklace at the big shiny thing and it will do the thing.
Circuit established. Restoring power.
Okay.
Error. Forge operating at 37% efficiency.
37? That can't be enough.
37%?
Protected.
Affirmative. Additional power sources required. Initiating query for suitable alternatives. Stand by.
It looks like our work isn't done, champion. I speak for Azeroth.
Meet King
Now
Fauris
return
in
to the chamber
Ramkahen.
and start
Okay,
figuring
cool.
out our next move.
So I need to get to
Can I
Ramkahem.
afford to lose the forge again? Do whatever it takes to protect it.
I like how Magni just fucking nopes out of everywhere. Not in the way of decent ale house in Leicester, unfortunately. On the good pub I go to, we'll be getting a good chunk of my... Yeah, man. Yeah, it really sucks because, I mean, I've got family in Leicester. My uncle, who came down from Scotland, he moved out there. He lives near Hinckley. So just kind of on the outskirts, I guess, I think. I don't know. Shoot me. But yeah. I'll tell you, a lot of the local ale houses in Sheffield, so like my favourite locations, but not the chain stores. Just because places like Brewdog, I mean, yeah, sure, they're not a huge company, but they've got enough money to survive. I'm talking my local ale houses that I like Dove and Rainbow, Red Deer, Roebuck, the local pubs that aren't owned by a conglomerate, or at least don't seem to be. They're where a lot of my money is going to go when this is all over. And Corp, because I love Corp, and my brother works there, so I'm supporting my brother going back to work when he's off furlough. Oh, no, I see the Fat Cat in Kellam Island, I think you mean, but I love the Fat Cat, Kellam Island. Shakespeare and the Fat Cat, Kellam Island way. Yes, mate. The Fat Cat's my favourite pub in the entirety of Sheffield, aside from the Dove and Rainbow. Dove and Rainbow's got a special place in my heart because it's where all me and my goth friends go to meet, because, you know, it's... You walk in there, you feel like you're walking into the set of a Rob Zombie music video, and that's why I belong there. You understand. And in fact, I'd be listening to Rob Zombie right now, but instead, because I record these for YouTube, I can't put videos in the music in the background because I'll get copy striked. I'm only a small-time YouTuber, but I am not risking that because I am just starting out. Ah, I'm stuck on something.
Mogra. Zug zug.
Mogra. Zug zug. Wazowski. Ah, it means you have to leave your bedroom. You see, man, I'm looking forward... I booked a holiday today. Me and my partner booked a holiday. We're going to Benalmádena on the southern coast of Spain. I'm fluent in Spanish, and Benalmádena is where my partner's grandfather lived up until he passed away.
It would seem you are not the only.
Ah, the call center, the dreaded call center, the one. Thing is, I work for a contact center now, and it's not as bad because it's not the same. It's different. It's run differently. I mean, there's things here and there. It is a contact center at the end of the day, but doesn't
Farewell, traveler.
feel like it. You have my Facebook. You know where I work.
We know little of the Amethet, save that they believe themselves the sole defenders of the Titan's great works.
I've not been to the Dove since the weekend before lockdown.
All others are corrupted by the curse of flesh and are enemies of the makers. It is imperative that they be kept away from the forge. To the west, another threat looms. Terrible monstrosities have emerged from the sands.
Ah, the world
gathering
bosses.
in great numbers. Though we suspect they hail from Entourage, they are unlike any Karaji or Sylvan.
You see, where I work now, it's like I wouldn't have left game if I'd just got decent hours.
Worst of all, our priests are plagued by unrelenting nightmares.
Oh, the priests are having bad dreams.
To ash, and our people turning against each other. I fear that these visions are but the harbinger of
I mean,
something
yeah, man. If you
far
remember
more
the place where you used to work, Crackle still goes to the Dove. I still see Crackle and his missus.
for disaster.
Well, that was interesting.
Do you bring news? How may Ramkahan aid you? It is clear that Ramkahan cannot face these menaces alone. I propose an accord with those here today, that we band together and defend our home.
You cannot be serious. I will not partner with grave robbers and bandits.
You will obey your king.
Yeah, breakdowns,
All
exactly.
who fight for doom
I mean,
are
I did the
allies
tour of a
Ramkahan.
few in Sheffield. I'm a
Waste
former
one
employee
that stand
of
with you,
where
King
we
Baron.
worked. I worked for a couple of ISPs,
Very well.
and then I went into
Together,
retail for a
we
bit.
will vanquish
You
all
know, I
who
worked
threaten
for
our
cash
home.
converters, and I
Full
worked
home
for
doom.
e-cig shop. The e-cig shop was a shit show, but we're not going to talk about that. And because I critiqued the things that I saw going wrong, that was why I ended up getting laid off.
You may speak.
Complete the assault in Uldum.
Ramkahan stands with you.
State your business. We have a war to wage. With each passing day, new enemies descend upon Uldum. We must drive them from the sands. Strike them down wherever possible, but focus on key objectives and enemy champions to deal the most damage.
Okay, so yeah, that's the objective here. So we gotta go complete the assault now. Sorry, my eye is playing up. It's been playing up all day. The joys of having hay fever at this time of year. What have we got
This
here?
had better be good.
We'll take all of them.
Destroy all who serve Nazar.
How may I assist you? You bring us hope.
So we've got a lot of shit to do here. Destroy some banners of the Black Empire. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff here. Yeah, I saw a lot of breakdowns, man, in that place. It was sad. This thing's gonna kill me. These things are very strong. Yeah. What's good is coming from all I was saying, everyone said it was the new head of department that caused them to leave. Oh god, really? I went for an interview at a different ISP. So the one I worked for. It wasn't great. It was what I refer to as an unmitigated disaster at that interview. Not because of me, but because those guys, they were just throwing figures at me about how many calls they answered a day, and I'm like, well, that doesn't tell me anything about the job. That just tells me what you guys do. But I know what you do, that's why I applied for the job, because I'm not stupid. I didn't just blind apply. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine? Oh, there's a PvP. Yeah, PvP going on here. He got sacked not long after, really. That doesn't surprise me, because basically, places like that are running off this bad mentality tend to have a lot of problems around wrongthink. It's wrongthink that gets them in trouble. So in other words, if you're seen as a detractor to their bottom line, yes, mate, that's the one where I went for an interview with the head of department that was an unmitigated disaster, the one that you just messaged me. Only because I saw through the guy who was interviewing me, and I thought he was an absolute conceited prick. Long story short, I thought it was. Basically said to him, "Look, I understand. It's all stats and statistics to you, but that's literally not the case. Like, I care more about the quality of what I'm doing, not the quantity of what I'm doing." And it's like, well, we answer this many, and this is how many we answer. I'm like, I don't care how many you answer. You're not telling me how many of these are resolved. You're telling me how many people you speak to, not how many of those queries actually go anywhere and get solved. I remember going into that meeting with him, like, what do you know about us? Do you know how many rings we answer our calls in? Do you know how many we speak to in a day? Do you know what our turnaround time on average speaking time is? I was like, shut up, man. Like, you know? I don't remember. I don't remember what he was called, but I remember the guy was a total prick I spoke to. Like, in face-to-face. I knew straight away, just from 5 minutes of conversation with him, that I didn't like him. I was like, if this is my manager, then nah. Then no. I'm not sure what he was called, but I just remember him being a complete asshole anyway. He wasn't a nice fella. He was very numbers driven, didn't really care about any of the soft skills that are required for a job where you are in customer services. Yeah, would you believe it? That to pass the job interview at a customer service thing, you've got to have soft skills. Some of the places I've spoken to, you wouldn't believe it. But, you know, it's not the point I'm making here. Yeah, that's him. And funny enough, I ended up working at that place. I worked at Sky for a while. It wasn't too bad. It was just the hours didn't agree with me personally, and there's this thing that I found a bit frustrating, which was that even as tech support, I got targeted on sales, and I didn't really agree with that. Because I went in to be service, not sales. It's totally different. And that's the problem. Like, when you've got somebody who mismanages an entire group of people, it's disheartening for every single member of that team. It's disheartening for everybody who goes. Like, the mismanagement of a group of people can literally be the downfall of a whole team. And I firmly believe this. Like, I'm not here to... yeah. I get what you mean. That's what I mean. It's like, what's the line, and what can you say and what can't you say? And the best thing is, I've worked some places where the line between what's actually what you receive and what isn't is a little bit grey. You'd think you were selling one thing, but really they got... I'm not saying this specifically, this isn't about Sky, just for example. I discovered that I will say outright, I'm not talking about Sky. Excuse me. Well, that's fair enough, dude. I mean, you got to put your wellness first. Sadly, there's a lot of workplaces out there that would believe that your wellness comes, in fact, second to your job role. When really, what should come first is your well-being, then what they expect of you, and then what the middle ground is. If there's a disparity between your well-being and what they want from you, then you need to have that discussion with them. But the problem I used to have is that a lot of workplaces would they'd acknowledge you've got a problem. They acknowledge something was wrong. I.e., with me, I've got BPD, right? They'd acknowledge that. However, whether anything actually got done to help you was another story. They just claim they were helping you. They'd claim these parameters had been put in place, but you would see no difference in your day-to-day. It's so that they don't get sued. They have to be seen to be doing something. But the thing is, they aren't actually doing anything. They're just claiming they are. And what happens then is that when these places do these things, they basically say, well, we made amendments for you. And then when you say no, and when you say no, you didn't, they go, yeah, we did. It must be your issues that are preventing you from seeing that. A lot of these places, especially bigger businesses, are very clever at what they do and what they say, and or more to the point, what they don't say. And I think that a lot of these places suffer from the same problem of that there's this subtle manipulation tactic. You were pulled on for not offering fibre to a small hat shop run by an old woman who needed the internet for the card machines. I was getting about 20 meg down on copper. My current place is doing good by me so far. I had to take a few weeks off, and they were perfectly good at supporting my return. You see, that's what I mean. There are workplaces out there that can deal with basic things like, oh, you've got this problem, you've got these issues, that's fine, we'll work with you. That's what you need. What you don't need is somebody who drills you for the littlest thing. Because when you've got a big company that you're working for, sometimes, because of how expendable the staff is, and you can usually tell by the staff turnover how expendable they see their staff, then you end up with a problem on your hands of if you are seen as a negative member of staff or a problem member of staff because you challenge the convention or you challenge the norm, or you go against the grain because you think you're doing the right thing, you'll be seen as a problem, and they will do anything they can. They will basically everything that they monitor on your system, everything they monitor about you, they will sift through their records of your activity that they sit upon like some kind of throne, and they'll find something in that to throw at you. They're like, oh, okay, so you clocked in 5 minutes late on one day last week. I guess we're gonna have to let him go if they decide that's the problem. No matter how minor, if a company sees you as negative, that's it. I'm getting PvP'd, okay. This guy's clearly higher geared than me. Fair play. I could tell straight away this guy got more gear than me because he just wasn't dying. You see, a good workplace, should I say, they work with you to do right by them. They don't do right by them to then scupper you just because you don't fit the mold. The whole point is a good workplace doesn't have a mold. They just find a place that you fit in with them. I mean, I say, I'm not going to comment on where I currently work, because my opinions of them theirs obviously vary. My experience might be different from other people's, and obviously I'm saying that simply because obviously I don't want to jeopardize my job by any perceived criticisms I may have of the role I'm doing. So I won't comment on that currently, but my previous roles I'm free to talk about, because obviously I don't work for them anymore. And I'm a former employee, and most of the places I've left, there's a reason for that. There's a damn good reason most of the time. I think what alarms me is there are some workplaces that you will experience in your life where it feels like you're being indoctrinated. Yeah, I'm not going to mention current employers, man. I know what happens to people who talk about their current employers. I know about people who, you know, and for me it's not about disparaging anyone's reputation. For me, it's just I'm very honest. And a lot of what I would say is probably a little too blunt to be said on stream, even if it's not necessarily bad. That's my thing. I have issues with certain. It's like if I turned around and said, "Oh, I like my current job, but I have an issue with this person, or I have an issue with this, then or I have an issue with that," then that's no good to me, because I could lose my job for that. If I turned around and said, I love my job, that's fine, but the problem with that is that that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to talk about my current job, other than that working from home has been an adjustment, a little stressful, and I'm still awaiting some of my kit. But that's not. I'm not knocking them. That's to do with the postal service. However, some of the previous places I've worked, I've witnessed people having breakdowns. I've witnessed people get broken down over time by places. And I know what these places can do to people if they're not careful and they go for the wrong job, or they go for the wrong role, or they get the wrong manager. It's amazing how quickly a bad manager can turn a good workforce into a bad one. I've always said the same thing. A lot of places, you don't quit the job, you quit the manager. And I firmly stand by that. I believe that a lot of the time when you leave a job, it's less the role and it's more who you're working for and how you perceive them. And I think the problem is that there are a lot of people who've gotten into management, especially places I have worked, not where I do work. Places that I have worked where the management have felt extremely out of touch with what's happening, or the reality of the role, or the reality of the situations. And if your manager's out of touch, then you've got no hope. You can't talk an out-of-touch person round 90% of the time. But yeah, 30 new starters, it was quite staggering, really, when you thought about it. And the thing is that the place you're referring to, just to be clear, the previous employer that we both have in common, when you see that figure, and it's hardly surprising, but also you realise that the ones out of that group that got out first were the smartest people in that room, and that's a sort of indirect quote from a YouTuber, but it's true. So the people who left first were usually the smartest people in that room, because they realised what they were getting into. It's a motorbike. It can be running smooth as hell, but if the dealer is wrong person on it, yeah. I've always said the same thing about that. I firmly believe that it's a case of a lot of people, like I say, a lot of places, they don't quit their job, they quit their manager. I'm guilty of quitting my manager several times. There's places I've worked in retail where I'm not quitting the job, I'm quitting the manager. Having a job, and by the way, if we're dying a lot, it's because I am undergeared for all this content, just as a heads up. I am massively undergeared, I'm just going for it. A lot of the time, the problem you've got is that if you have a manager that doesn't understand how to run a team effectively... Oh yeah, man, that video. It was an eye-opener. My favourite sketch in that is the, not necessarily the truth-telling, it's the one where that YouTuber released a content piece that was effectively a advertisement of recruitment, and it was that we want people, we strive for people who like to meet targets. That's the bit that got me. That's the bit that got me. I don't do well in target-driven environments anyway. Only because I feel like I know what my job is. I don't need you to tell me what I need to do. So don't be patronising enough to set a number that I've gone, well, you have to be able to do this much of it. You know, you didn't do the exact thing that we told you to do. It's like, don't patronise me like that. That's the way I see that. I find the whole target system, I mean, progression is fine, but like the whole target system of average time doing this, average time doing that, average time having a shit, I think that is bogus. And funny enough, what's interesting is that in one of those videos that we're referring to, there's a quote about effectively a manager telling him to shit faster. I got that at the place that we worked. So before we get any further into what we're doing, I'm just going to cut this part down for YouTube again, and I'm just going to be right back real quick, guys.